the first of its kind mega summit for the SMB ecosystem, Amazon Smbhav. The two-day extravaganza was aimed at enlightening SMBs about the world of infinite possibilities that technology has opened up for them. The participation of more than 3,600 SMBs stand testament to the success of the summit. The event provided the participants with the opportunity to get an insight into the latest technological innovations, the business best practices, and the success stories of contemporary companies. The impressive lineup of speakers opened up new vistas for the attending SMBs. Inspirational leaders from various industries provided the impetus to the SMBs' global expansion dream. The event saw stalwarts like Narayan Murthy and Kishore Biani share their experience and anecdotes with the audiences.
So I started my career by supplying fabrics to the garment industry. So I came to know a little bit about the garment industry. Then I thought I should create my own garment company. So that's how my first brand came about, Pantaloons.
The platform hosted delegates, policymakers, thought leaders and champions from various industries with the aim to boost the SMB segment. Amazon's founder and CEO Jeff Bezos also graced the occasion with his presence. In a candid fireside chat with Senior Vice President and Country Head Amazon India Amit Agarwal, Jeff inspired the audience with insights into his own life and the promising future he sees for the country.
I predict that the 21st century is going to be the Indian century.
One of the many insightful discussions held during the event was titled Physical Retail and E-Commerce Growing in Harmony.
Pizza Hut, Paradise, more retail, there are about 1,000 retail outlets or more. So how is this playing out for you between online and versus offline? How will this unfold?
Every category, I think from a consumer perspective, they will experience it in an omni-channel manner. Only thing is, category by category, the mix will vary. Now on one end of the spectrum are what I would call virtual categories, when there is no physical exchange of goods, which would be movie ticket, airline ticket, music, for example, where predominantly significant portion is online. Then I think there are categories somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, from apparel to shoes to electronics, where the mix is online, offline. And I think then there are categories what I would call on the other end of the spectrum, where food and grocery and restaurant. Now in each part of the spectrum, the best way to win is if the ecosystem, so I think we are entering a world where companies will not win, ecosystem will win. And I think having the right ecosystem partners is going to make a very big difference.
Nilesh, the real battle scars or real fight is actually in electronics and wireless. You've been at the forefront of it. What's been your experience, this online and offline? How is it unfolding for you?
See, basically, if you see, I think today electronics is a major in thing for everybody and across the age gaps, whether it's the youngsters or the elders or middle age. So what we are seeing is online has actually spurred a growth of consumption in the electronics. But the major issue with online and offline electronics is, I think, two things, which is the talk of the nation, and that is on the pricing war and availability. So there are a lot of online exclusive models, offline exclusive models. We understand that there is going to be an online customer, there is going to be an offline customer, and these two customers are the same customers who will buy some products online, some products offline, sometimes online, sometimes offline. So I think it's the ecosystem, as he has just rightly put in, how the ecosystem evolves. I think we are still at an evolution stage. Maybe I think another 2 or 3 years, I think we'll reach a maturity where I think everybody will realize that there's a room for every player to do his business.
Let me move to the next theme of the discussion, which is how the two channels can be leveraged. And Sandeep Bata is the most loved kind of footwear brand. We all grew up wearing it. You also have a very rural tier 2, tier 3 distribution also. And yet you built a very strong online presence. You said more than 5% of your revenues now are online. What did you do?
You know, when you start looking at a brand which has been here for 85 years, when you are 85 years old, some of that age does rub off onto your brand. Yeah, you do start feeling slightly old, and your youngsters don't really walk into your stores as often as you would like them to. This is where you again go back. This is where digital plays a big role for us. The younger profile of the marketplace, of the digital spaces, allows us access to that younger audience. So for us, from both points of view, reaching out to our current audiences in urban centers, but also reaching out to audiences which we would not ever be financially or commercially positively reach out is a great opportunity for us.
Rajiv, let me come to you. Shoppers Stop is the fashion destination, right, for India, and you have more than 260 outlets. And yet you decided to have your own app, right, with 7.5 million downloads. So how did you approach it? What were some of the debates that you had internally in the organization as you looked at online and offline?
So we've gone through a bit of a journey with regards to the online and offline. We started initially only as a pure online, and we set up a separate cell within the company which was working purely on online. About 18 months ago, we sort of realized that a customer is not only shopping either online or offline, but the customer journey is important between exploring online, discovering online, and shopping in the stores. And we really believe that the fusion of online and offline is where the customer wants to be. 70% of our e-com sales now come from our stores and are delivered to our stores. We recently also set up with Amazon EDI connection on 4 of our stores, and there is more going to be coming through, where we are able to reach cities where we are not present. And that's how we are finding that the combination of online and offline is working very well.
Manish, you would have seen in last 4 years at Amazon, many digital native brands starting their journey online only, and now venturing to offline. So what are some of the learnings over there, and how does one, especially for relevant to our audience, if they start with Amazon online, how can they successfully scale to offline?
Yeah, I think it's for brands which are starting afresh, online provides a very controlled environment in which they can experiment, they can try out things with their brand, and then take it offline. Nilesh spoke about electronics. Everyone from Xiaomi to OnePlus to TCL, these companies have been able to experiment online, fine-tune their brand, fine-tune the product, and then they take it offline. And therefore, I think it really gives a launch pad for all new entrepreneurs who want to launch services and brands to try it online, to learn, experiment, and then take it offline. And I think that model works across any category you can think of, from food grocery. We saw Vardham the tea company coming up. We spoke about electronics. So it works everywhere.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for making the trip. Really, really
How can small and medium businesses capitalize on the multitude of opportunities presented by the online marketplace? This was one of the subjects taken up by sector experts in the panel discussion, blurring geographical boundaries for the SMBs during the 2-day Amazon Smbhav Summit held in the national capital.
In your opinion, you've seen this industry evolve. What is the biggest change that you are seeing as we are moving from offline exports to online exports? How are MSMEs benefiting?
Now, this is like a God-sent opportunity, which technology has given to them. Online marketing within the country, and especially if it can be outside the country. It fetches twice or thrice the prices
that you fetch in the country if you export it. And we need to promote it big time. And the volume you can imagine, 45 lakh small businesses. If they can all get this platform, it could be a game changer for their economy, for their lives, tripling, quadrupling their income.
Bala, if I ask the same question to you, you've been one of the early adopters and one of the first people who built a brand using e-commerce and building a global brand now across multiple countries. You cater to customers in over 100 countries now. What has this journey been like? What have you learned over the course of this journey, and how is it different from doing offline exports?
Till 6 months back, 95% of our revenue has been online. We have shipped millions and millions of units of our teas to consumers in over 90 countries, been endorsed by global icons like Oprah Winfrey, Mariah Carey, who are taking note and trying to build a brand in these markets, right? So I think today, I think we are at the cusp, like we are in a time in commerce where, you know, there is so much we can do just via this online route. And interestingly, right, if you do well online, I think the offline route actually becomes way more easier, right?
Next, Nick, let me come to you.
Yeah.
What has Amazon done in this space to help MSMEs from our country increase exports through the Global Selling Program?
If you're like a small tribal company, being able to reach customers all around the world, and that is something where the small and medium-sized businesses look to Amazon to help them do that. Other tools that we're developing to help sellers conduct their business are in pricing. So some of these things are very complicated, and sellers appreciate having that capability to navigate that space. And as part of like the exporting as translations, and with some of the recent developments that we're doing, we're definitely not stopping there. So we've just opened new marketplaces in Australia, in Singapore, and UAE, of course. So I think that those are some of the things that we hear from our selling partners, and where Amazon is innovating and helping our selling partners reach more customers around the world.
Ronnie, Amazon Middle East is the latest export destination that we've opened up for Indian exporters to start exporting to using Amazon. How has been the response from the Middle East customers to products from our Indian suppliers and MSMEs?
The technology is a way to break all these barriers and unite the region together, and that kind of was our core mission. Similar to India, early on when we started, we had challenges with payment, logistics, we don't have good addressing systems. And myself and many members on my team took on these challenges to facilitate e-commerce. We needed to make sure that the experience works well. And over the 4 or 5 years, we've managed to build a good foundation for all the tools our sellers needed to utilize the technology and be able to have a good customer experience. We're launching Amazon, connecting merchants and sellers from this part of the world. We've been able to see great success. Our customers love the products here. We see great reviews, great response. And this is for us just the start, and we think we're going to have thousands of sellers join this program. Super excited because also 30% of people who live in our region are from India, so they are already familiar with the product, and they're kind of your champions to distribute and market your product across our region.
Tanveerji, we talked about what MSMEs and what tribals need. Some of it marketplaces are providing, but again, logistics is a big enabler. What innovations is IPS, India Postal Services, working on that you think is going to help MSMEs succeed in this global economy?
We are totally changing the design of the Department of Post. In fact, we are focusing more on creating, the e-commerce packet and parcel handling capacity. In fact, right now, we have already come up with 190 parcel hubs, across the country, and most of them, I will say 95% of them are located in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. And we are increasing the parcel handling capacity from present like 7.5 crore per month to 24 crore per month. In fact, in another 2-3 years, we are targeting on not the big exporter, but the MSME, the sellers who basically sells, as sir has also told. we would be focusing on tribal products and all those things. Whosoever will come to us, they will also give a lot of facility to the sellers in terms of some account facility, some better discount, some pickup facilities and all those things, depending upon the volume and the nature of the location where they are.
Quickly, financial services. We've seen a lot of evolution already. What are some of the things that need to change further or are in the works that's going to make this channel efficient, better, faster?
When you start out on a platform, say, like Amazon, most corporates are wary of starting out exporting into multiple markets, largely on account of cross-border regulations, right? So what banks have been working on, and I think it's not just work in progress, but what we have today. So we do the traditional trade bell. We've realized in global selling programs, you have the buyer, the seller, facilitator, potentially all in different geographies. And they need to be focusing on, so Bala shouldn't be worried about the regulations, right? He needs to focus on his business. And which is why, banks have developed what is called, say a cross-border payment engine. So, ours it's called global disbursement. And what it does is for large marketplaces like yourselves, who need to pay out to multiple exporters, say in India, who are exporting out of India. So what we do is all the money is pooled into, say, a specific account, and multiple small value cross-border payments are then consolidated into a single transaction by country, which then comes into, say, India. And from India, using domestic channels such as RTGS, NEFT, is wired out to all the exporters who sell on these marketplace platforms. Now, what it does for the exporters is you don't have to go through the hassle of cumbersome processes associated with FX conversions. You don't have to open EEFT accounts for all the people from India. And at the same time, you get the information which is required for claiming the export duty benefits, right? So we're essentially enabling transaction processing for the SMEs who want to export through digital platforms.
Exciting time for exporters from India. Wrapping up, I'm going to go to each of you, one-line advice before we wrap up. Starting with Praveerji, what is your one-line advice for our MSMEs here?
Make it Smbhav through facilitating small self-help groups, small producer companies, and provide some finance to do the expansion.
Thank you. Tanveerji.
What I will say, trust your post offices again. You have trusted for a long time.
That was one line. Aditya?
Opportunity बहुत बड़ी है, especially बाहर. Just some statistic, India e-commerce is a big thing. India per capita is $20. US per capita spend on e-commerce is $2,000. So please go out and target the $2,000, not $20.
Okay. Nick.
So, for those of you who are not selling internationally yet and exporting, just do it. I see too many companies overanalyze, just experiment and find your way.
Thank you. Ronnie.
I'm an entrepreneur. I know what it means to build something meaningful to people. We have a saying in our region called Yalla, meaning get going, please get going.
Lastly, Bala.
Let's take India global. Let's build a brand. Let's build a brand experience. I think consumers pay money for a product, but they will pay a premium for an experience. So let's do that and let's wave the Indian flag.
So, for parting thoughts, I think that's a great way to part it. Let's take India global. Let's make sure the India flag's flying really high. Thank you very much.
To recognize the exponential growth trajectory of the Indian SMB, Amazon Smbhav felicitated the champions and emerging talents from the sector. Winners were shortlisted from the deluge of nominations. Women Entrepreneur of the Year, Tanvi Johari, Karnesi. Digital SMB of the Year, Leshifu. Global SMB of the Year, Badham Teas. Best SMB Brand of the Year, Pise. Social Entrepreneur of the Year, Kadam Heart. Innovator of the Year, Try and Buy Fashion. Youth SMB of the Year, Arjun Vaidya, CEO of Dr. Vaidya. Fastest growing SMB of the Year, Bloom Solar. Transformation of the Year, Dean Chef.
We were fortunate to win the Global SMB of the Year, and more importantly, I think getting it from Jeff Bezos. I think I'm still pinching myself that if that really happened, but I think getting it from Jeff Bezos himself was, I think, cherry on the cake.
The start of the year could not have been better because I represent a brand that works on women's issues, and being awarded this award for the women's entrepreneur, I think is extremely relevant, and I'm very happy about it.
First of all, hearing Jeff and his stories and how he went through those times is very inspiring, but actually kind of meeting him and getting the award from him means a lot, and the whole team is super excited about that.
This will be quite encouraging for us because when we started, we had a lot of comment from a lot of people around because we were working on entirely new concept which was never being implemented. So people were really skeptical that whether it will work or not, or will it reach to a scale and other stuff. And now after 6 years of journey, we've reached to this level and have done reasonably good, and now we are scaling up in entire India level. And then this award will be, kind of a very nice booster for our future scale-up plan.
Small and medium businesses and micro enterprises are critical for the growth of India's economy. And endeavors like Amazon Smbhav provide them that extra impetus to help them grow and progress to the next level.
मान लिया तो संभव है.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.